Hey guys, and welcome back to another video here with Crafty Mama. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. What I'm gonna do today is a highly requested video that I've gotten from my group members. If you are not a part of my group, Crafty Mamas, I've told you about it before on this channel. In that group, a lot of people had sublimation questions, like more in-depth questions from the first video that I've done. So I do have a sublimation for beginners video, which is the first sublimation video that I have on my channel, where I talk about like shirts, time, temperature, settings, things like that. But some people had some other types of questions, so I made a post in my group and I said, what are some sublimation questions that you have that you would like me to answer? So these are the questions from that post that I'm going to be answering in this video today. I'm not going to be doing any actual like tutorials like I normally do. This is really just going to be me showing you the products that I have and answering all the questions from that post that was in my group. I will drop the link down below for you to join my group if you haven't already, but this is a part 2 to the sublimation for beginners video, which is the first sublimation video that I have on this channel. So I've written everything down in my notebook here, and I am going to go ahead and get all those answered. Okay, so first we're going to start with the materials. I kind of broke it down into little sections, but the first I'm going to go over is the questions that people have about materials. So the first question is, what is the best printer? Now the best printer is obviously going to be like ideally a sublimation printer, so a printer that was specifically created for sublimation. Those tend to be a little bit pricier though. So I know one, which is the Epson SCF570, is a sublimation printer. It's also a wide format printer. That would be like the ideal printer, but that one is rather expensive. So if you don't have and if you want to see that printer and how it works, I believe Charmaine Galloway has that printer, and she has several videos on her channel. So check out her channel if you want to see that printer and how it prints. I've had my eye on that printer. Don't have the money for it yet, but that would be like my ideal printer. But if you don't have the money for that, there are other printers that are way less expensive that will do, such as the two popular ones are the Epson 7710 and the Epson 7720. And then the next question I have, what is the difference between those two printers? The only difference between the Epson 7710 and the Epson Workforce 7720 is the number of trays. So the Epson and I have both. I use my Epson 7710 to as a regular inkjet printer. So when I'm printing things off, like my print and cut images, images for my journals or my planners, it's my regular inkjet printer, and it has one tray. And then my Epson 7720, I converted to my sublimation printer, and it has 2 trays. That's the only difference. One has 1 tray, one has 2 trays. That's the difference. It's really just your preference on which one you want to go with, but they're exactly the same. There isn't like the 20 isn't better than the 10 or vice versa. It's your preference on how many trays you want. And the price for those, normally when I got mine was like at the beginning of this year before the pandemic hit, and I think I paid probably around $200, maybe a little bit more, somewhere between $200 to $300. I know now, because they are in high demand and the pandemic, they're like, I've seen them up to like $600-700. So if you don't have that amount of money, there's other printers that will that you can convert as well. Those are just the 2 most popular. I also had an Epson 7210 that can be converted to a sublimation printer as well, and it's a wide format, and I believe it has 2 trays. It's very, very, very similar to the Epson 7720, and it's that 7210. But the way that I found my sublimation printer was I use InkX Pro ink, and I went onto the InkX Pro website. And on the website, they have conversion kits. You have to have a conversion kit in order to convert a printer to sublimation. So I found the conversion kit on the website. Once you click on the product, it's going to give you a description of the product, and then it's also going to give you the printers that the product is compatible with, and it lists. It's going to tell you this conversion kit is compatible with, and then it's going to list all of the printers that it's compatible with. That's how I picked my printer. The first one I had, which was the 7210. So that's how I picked my printer, and you can go from there as well. So the next question that I have here, people were asking about the Sawgrass, the 500 and the 1000. That is also a sublimation printer. I really don't have any experience with them. I've used the 7210 and the 7720 for sublimation. Those are the only two that I've used for sublimation. So I'm not too familiar with the Sawgrass, or if the 500 or the 1000 is better. From my research, which is like me just looking online, I think the 1000 is bigger than the 500. It prints bigger. So it's really, I guess, just your preference. Again, it's just your preference on what you need for your projects, what's going to be easiest, and what's most cost efficient for you. Okay, the next question I have is, what is the best ink? Again, that's really up to you, what's most cost efficient for you and what works for you. But I will talk about the top two most popular. The only ink that I have ever used, if you watch any of my sublimation videos, everybody always asks, what ink do I use? I use the InkX Pro ink, and this is what it looks like. InkX Pro, this is just the black, but when you buy the conversion kit, which is what I have, you're going to get 4 colors: black, blue, pink, and yellow. And they all come in big bottles like this. InkX Pro ink. And then the website is inkxpro.com. This is what I use. And there are tons of people who also use Cosmo ink. Those are the top 2 most popular that I've heard of. And then some people do buy their ink from Amazon as well. I'm not familiar with the ones from Amazon, so I can't speak to if they're good or not, but I do know that Cosmo's ink is good and the InkX Pro ink is good. And they both work with the 7710 and the 7720 if that's the machine you're working with. Okay, what is the best sublimation paper? Again, really it's the same answer. I can only speak to what I use or what I've seen other people use multiple times. The only sublimation paper that I have ever used is A-Sub, and I get it from Amazon. This is the one that I use. I use the 125. I bought a couple of these, the 125. I think I'm going to switch to the 120 when these run out. This is my 8.5 by 11, but I bought all 3 sizes. They come in 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, and 13 by 19. And I have all 3 of them, but I think I'm going to switch to the 120 because the 125, I notice, tends to jam into my printer sometimes. And then there's sometimes black like track marks like on the sides or the edges of the paper, which I've gotten accustomed to just cutting it off now, but I don't want to keep having to remember. Sometimes I forget to cut it off and then I have a black spot on my shirt and I have to redo it. And I have seen a couple people talk about this with the 125, and a lot of people are saying that the 120 doesn't do that. So when my 125 runs out, I'll be buying the 120. So if you haven't used any sublimation paper yet, I would say get the 120. I want to say this stripe here might be green on it. I'm not for sure, but it'll say 120 where mine says 125G. It's going to say 120G. So if you're new and you're trying to figure out what paper to buy, I would try the A-Sub paper. You can find it on Amazon. It's A-Sub paper on Amazon, but I would get the 120. if you can. Get the 120G. And then another is text print, which I think is from Heat Press Nation, but I'm not 100% sure. But I have heard really good reviews about that sublimation paper as well. I've never used it. I've only ever used the A-Sub. And then I got a question about copy paper, using copy paper for sublimation. I have no idea about the copy paper. I've never tried it. I've never used it. I'm not sure how you would use it. Maybe there's a video out about the copy paper. If there is, I would say check that out. But I've only ever used A-Sub and it works just fine. The only thing is the 125 gets those track marks, those black track marks on it, and if you don't cut it off, it will print onto your shirt. So I'll be switching to the 120G when my 125 runs out. Okay, so now we're gonna be moving on to settings. Time, what's the ideal time and temperature? The most popular time and temperature is 400 degrees for 60 seconds, and that's if you're doing shirts and things like that. But you must check the product. Anytime you purchase a product, 9 times out of 10, or they should give you the time and temperature that you should use with that product. So for instance, like Condi. If you purchase something from Condi and you go to the website and you look up where the product description is, it should tell you the time and temperature that product requires. So I would always, whatever you're doing, if you're doing like shirts and things like that, 400 degrees for 60 seconds. Any shirt I'm doing, bag, tote, anything like that, it's always 400 degrees for 60 seconds. But then other things like tumblers or mugs or like this photo slate that I did here. Now I did do this for 60 seconds in the video that I did for this tutorial. The tutorial I did for this photo slate, I did 60 seconds. I probably should have done about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. I think Condi says to do it for 4 or 5 minutes. So it's really just, you got to check the product description and then go from there. Some things require longer, like tumblers. Like I've done a couple tumblers on my channel. I do tumblers for 6 minutes and it works just fine. And then I've tried a mug on my channel, and I'll probably be doing an updated mug one, because I think the mug is going to take way longer, like 12 to 14 minutes. So it really just depends on what you're sublimating for the time and temperature settings. But for basic like t-shirts, 400 degrees for 60 seconds. And then everything else, check the product descriptions when you're purchasing it. What kind of shirts can you sublimate on? The most ideal shirt is going to be 100% polyester. 100% polyester is going to give you the absolute most vibrant colors that you can possibly get. The higher the polyester count, the more vibrant the shirt is going to turn out. Okay, so here is a shirt that is on 100% polyester. It's super vibrant. Colors are bright. Okay, and I get mine from Jiffy. This is Gildan Performance. Let me see if I can show you the polyester count. There it is. 100% polyester. Okay, it's Gildan Performance 100% polyester, and I get these in bulk from Jiffy shirts.com. Jiffy is amazing. Okay, they have the fastest shipping, to my knowledge and from my experience thus far. Like I will order something on Tuesday or Wednesday and I will have it by Thursday or Friday. So Jiffy is super fast. I never have any problems or issues with the quality of the shirts that I get, but when I want my shirts to be super vibrant and colorful and my colors to be just popping, I go with the Gildan Performance 100% polyester shirts from jiffyshirts.com. So that's the most ideal shirt to sublimate on. Now you can sublimate on shirts that are like 90-10, 80-20, 60-40, but just keep in mind that the lower your polyester count goes down, the more dull the colors are going to be. So like a shirt that's like 70-30, 70% polyester, 30% something else, you're going to start to get more of a vintage look to it versus the vibrant colors. Okay, color settings. In my first video, the first sublimation for beginners video, I did actually show you on my computer what my settings were. I have a Dell computer. I believe the Mac settings might look a little bit different. So for my computer, which is a Dell, my print quality is 600 by 600. My borderless is on. My output quality is high, and my scaling is none. That's for Dell. And if you want to physically see me do that, go check out my Sublimation for Beginners Part 1 video, which is the first sublimation video on my channel. And then you'll be able to actually see me show you those settings. But that's what they are for Dell. I know for Mac, it might be a little bit different. You can check out who has some Mac settings. Shanita, her channel is Do Dream On. She, I believe, has a Sublimation for Beginners video as well, where she shows you her settings for Mac. So if you have a Mac and you want to know what to put your settings on, your print settings, like on your computer, check out her video, Do Dream On, D-O Dream On. And I'm pretty positive she has the Mac settings on her channel. All right, moving on to this question. Where can I buy blanks in bulk? So like I said, Jiffy Shirts, if you're buying t-shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, things like that, jiffyshirts.com. That is where I always buy everything from. The prices are not that bad. They have sales quite often. Shipping is like extremely fast. Extremely fast. I also buy from Condi. Shipping isn't as fast, but the products are still very good quality. Like this photo slate came from Condi. I have some masks that came from Condi. They have pretty good things as well. I don't buy shirts from there because I only buy shirts from Jiffy. Or if I need something like today, I'll go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something, or Joann's to get a shirt. Etsy, I buy my tumblers from Etsy, coffee mugs from Etsy. And then Facebook groups. There's a couple of Facebook groups. I know I don't do buy-ins for everything. The only buy-ins that I've done thus far are for those PVC bags. I'm not interested in doing big buy-ins all the time for different products. I only did it for the PVC bags because I wanted some and I didn't want to buy 200 of them, which was the MOQ. But I don't do the buy-ins for other things like tumblers and things like that. But there are a lot of Facebook groups. One in particular is called Getting Crafty with Chan, C-H-A-N. I'm in that group. She does a lot of buy-ins. I have done one with her where I did a tumbler buy-in with her. But she does a lot of buy-ins. She communicates, very professional. So if you're looking for a group that's not, because the first buy-in group that I did before I started my group, I got scammed. She does not scam. I have done, like I said, I have personally done a buy-in with her for tumblers. So, and I got my tumblers when she said I was going to get my tumblers. So I'll try to remember to put the group down below so you can check it out. But her group is called Getting Crafty with Chan. So if you're looking for a buy-in group, she does a lot of them. Can you sub on any glitter vinyl? I know you can't sub on black glitter. You can for sure sub on white glitter. Probably the light gray, like the silver glitter, you probably could. I haven't tried it, but I'm gonna assume that if you do that, it's gonna give you that vintage look because it's not white. And it also may alter your colors as well. When you're sublimating, the ink adheres to the fibers in the shirt. So if the fibers in your shirt are white, you're gonna get a true color. Versus if the shirt is light blue or light gray, you're gonna get, like, let's say you have pink on your shirt. The pink ink is gonna mix with the blue fibers. So pink and blue mixed isn't gonna give you pink. It's gonna give you whatever color that is when you mix pink and blue. So you have to remember that it's adhering, the ink is adhering to the actual fibers of the shirt. So if the shirt is white, pink and white makes pink. So you're gonna get a more truer color versus if you mix, or if you try to sublimate on a light blue shirt, pink and light blue isn't gonna give you a vibrant pink. It's gonna give you a different color, or a different color pink than what your design originally had. So if you're gonna sublimate on like a silver glitter, if you can, I haven't tried it, so I'm not saying that you can, I'm saying if you tried it and it works, I'm gonna assume your colors aren't gonna be your true colors, and it's not gonna be like really vibrant. It's gonna probably give you like a vintage dull looking type image. Can you sublimate on cotton? I do have a video on this about sublimating on cotton. Now, I have not uploaded my wash video yet because I could not find my shirt. I have located the shirt. So 2 for 1. I'm going to give you a look at the shirt. This is the shirt that I did in that video. I finally found it. The wash, I did wash it. I washed it by itself, nothing else in the washer. So I washed it in the washer by itself, on cold water, inside out. And then I did not put it in the dryer. I hung it up to dry. So this is the shirt after doing all of that. And this is 100% cotton. This is the exact same shirt I sublimated in my how to sublimate on cotton shirt. This is the same shirt. And then, like I said, I washed it by itself with nothing else, in cold water, inside out. And then I hung it up to dry. I did not put it in the dryer. And then these are the results of the shirt. Let me stand up so you can see it better. This is the result of the shirt. So let me show you compared to the polyester. This is 100% polyester. This is 100% cotton. And that's the difference. Cotton, polyester. So it's definitely not as bright. And this shirt has been washed a couple of times as well. It's definitely not as bright, obviously, because it's cotton. But it did not wash completely out. After, it's only been washed once because I lost the shirt after I washed it the one time. So it's only been washed once. And this is the result of the one wash on cotton. And then, let me show you. See, it is 100%. This is a Fruit of the Loom. Where's the, there it is. Fruit of the Loom, 100% cotton. And that's what it looks like after one wash. And I achieved these results. So it looks more, it does have like a vintage feel. So it's not washed out, but it is like a vintage look, which is fine because, you know, TLC is a vintage, it's a 90s throwback. So it's, you know, it's a vintage type shirt, which the vintage look is fine. But yeah, those are the results that I got from washing it when I used the Spray Bright. So if you're going to sublimate onto cotton, you got to use the Spray Bright, or whatever spray you have. I would stay away from the polyacrylic or acrylic or whatever it's called, only because that is more so like chemical based, which I'm sure that this is too, but it's a little less toxic than the polyacrylic. I've never used polyacrylic. I've done some research on it. It is very toxic, so I don't use it on anything, especially something I'm going to wear, just because I'm scared of like skin irritation or anything like that. Me and my children are very sensitive to chemicals. I stay away from them as much as I possibly can. So if you want to see how I achieve these results and the link for the spray bright that I use, check out my how to sublimate on cotton video. And this is the shirt that was in that video. You would have to use the spray bright solution, and I show you exactly what it is and the link in that video. Okay, moving on. Can you use an air fryer to sub? Yes, you can. You can sub on to coffee mugs in the air fryer. I haven't done it yet. I just use my convection oven to do it. But if you have an air fryer, I believe Charmaine Galloway has a video on how to sublimate an air fryer a coffee mug in the air fryer. But I'm pretty sure there's tons of videos on that as well. I've never done it. I have an air fryer, but I use it for my food, and I just haven't purchased another one. So I have the convection oven, and I just use that. Programs. What are the best programs to print from? So in my experience, the best program to print from with the best quality is Photoshop. I have a couple of Photoshop videos on my channel as well to show you how to design. I get the best quality photo when I'm printing from Photoshop. Second best is Silhouette, and then third is Canva. So those are the top 3 programs that I print from when I have an image. If it's an image that I've created, I will print it from Photoshop if I can. If it's an image that I purchased, like from Etsy, then I'll probably use Silhouette to print it. And then if I design, I really don't use Canva to design that much now that I've kind of dove into Photoshop. I'm trying to get to use it better just because the quality of the image is better in Photoshop, I believe. So I don't use Canva that much anymore, but you can print from Canva as well. And then you have Word, and then you have Cricut Design Space. When it comes to printing things out, I use Cricut Design Space for vinyl, pretty much. That's it. I know if you've been watching my channel, you know that I have the Cameo Silhouette Pro. So I am trying to kind of go in that direction just because I print a lot of images that I need way bigger than 6.75 by 9.25 or whatever Cricut allows you to print. That's entirely too small for pretty much any project that I'm doing, unless it's like a baby shirt or a toddler shirt. I'll use Cricut, but other than that, I never print from Cricut. It's just too small. And I like this image here, I would never be able to print this size image from Cricut. This is printed from Silhouette. So yeah, Cricut. And I never print from Word either. I print from Photoshop, Silhouette, and Canva are my top 3. Okay, we are on the last couple of questions here. So troubleshooting. Why do I get lines in my picture when I print for sublimation? That could be a handful of different things. But what I would try is do nozzle cleaning first. So the print head cleaning. Sometimes if you have a converted printer like the 7720 or the 7710, you may have to do a print head cleaning like multiple times, like 8 to 10 times. And it's going to seem really frustrating and really tedious, but you just have to keep doing it. It will eventually work. I would check to make sure you don't have air bubbles in your cartridge. And then you would also have to unclog the nozzles. So, which brings me to my next question. How do you unclog the nozzles and fill the cartridge? I actually have my black ink here, my black ink cartridge. Okay, sorry about that. My camera tried to die on me. But I have my my black ink cartridge here. This is the one from my printer. That's why I have this tissue. It's kind of leaking a little bit. To unclog your nozzles, so let's say you've run the print head cleaning over and over and over and over and over, and for whatever reason, let's say your black ink it's either not printing at all, so when you do the print head check and it prints out the lines and it's just not connecting, like all the other colors are but your black isn't. What I do is I will take it out. 9 times out of 10 when that happens for me, the ink isn't coming out of the little spout at the bottom. It's not actually coming out of it. That's the problem. So what I do, this is the hole that you fill the cartridge with. So you take this off, you take your needle, they give you a syringe. When you order your conversion kit, they give you a syringe. This is the hole that you fill the syringe with. This one is also going to have one of these, but when you put it in your printer, you have to take it out. So what I do to unclog this, I do one of two things. I'll take on the syringe, I will take the needle off so it's just a plastic piece, and I'll put the plastic piece inside of this hole here and I'll push it down. What that does is it forces air through the whole cartridge and it'll force the ink to come out the bottom. And if there's enough, like if it's clogged, you will feel pressure, like pushback on your syringe. But it will unclog this. That's one way. If you try that and it doesn't work, then what I do is I take the actual needle, I'll put the needle back on the syringe, and I'll take the needle and I'll literally poke it through the bottom. There's a small hole at the bottom here. And I'll take the needle on the syringe, I'll put the needle back on the syringe and poke a hole through the bottom. That's the for sure way to do it. Once you do that, your ink will start to come out kind of quick. So you want to hurry up and put it back in your printer and then run another cleaning and then do it again. And then it should work. That's what I've always done anytime I've had an issue with lines or it being clogged or anything like that. As soon as I do that, it's fixed. It works just fine. Okay, and then how do you stop ghosting? Ghosting, I believe, occurs when you shifted your paper, like your paper was shifted somehow when you were clamping your press down, or somehow the image or your shirt shifted, whether it shifted when you placed it onto the heat press, when you closed it, when you opened it, or when you removed your paper. Some point in time, either your shirt or your image shifted or both. So to prevent that from happening, if you keep having it happen, make sure you're using enough heat tape. Tape your image very, very good. Tape all the sides. Put it onto your press first. I know that I have the pull-out drawer, so when I'm putting my shirt down, I'll put my shirt down on my press. Some of you don't have the pull-out drawer, so it may get a little hot underneath there, but it will stop the ghosting. Just try not to burn yourself. But I have the pull-out drawer, so I'll pull my drawer out, I'll put my shirt down, I'll put my image down on top of my shirt while it's on the heat press, and then I'm taping it there and I'm not moving it. Make sure you have the right pressure. Pressure is very important. If your pressure is too light, you will probably get ghosting. So make sure, adjust your pressure if you need to. Make sure you have the right amount of pressure. And then if none of that still works, try using a Teflon pillow. You'll have to lighten the pressure if you add a Teflon pillow in between your shirt. And they have them in a 3-pack. I have the 3-pack. I got it from Amazon. It comes with 3 different sizes. But you can get Teflon pillows. Just insert the Teflon pillow in there. That will also help with if you get like the square box from the heat press on your shirt and you don't like the lines. The Teflon pillow will help with that as well. And if you use a Teflon pillow, just remember you're going to have to adjust your pressure at the on the top of your heat press. You're going to have to adjust it if you use it, and then adjust it back when you're not using it anymore. But those are the things I do to stop ghosting. And that is all I have. That's all the questions that I have from my group. I really can't think of anything else to add that I haven't already said, either in this video or the first one. If you haven't seen that first video, the part 1 sublimation for beginners video, it's like I said, the first sublimation video that I have on my channel. And I physically did a shirt on that video, as well as I physically showed you my settings. And I have a Dell. I still have the same Dell. I think I used my desktop and I still have it. So my settings are the same that I used today. And then, like I said, if you have a Mac, I told you about the other channel that you can get the Mac settings from. But that is all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely drop them down below. Any video ideas that you want me to do, again, drop them down below and I'll try to get those out. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.